Hello and welcome to another Bollocks episode of Talking Bollocks. This is Bollocks me, Bollocks Howard. Yes, it's Talking Bollocks. We're back. Well, I say we. That's a bit egotistical, isn't it? I am back. That's right, folks. It is time for more Bollocks of the Talking. It is Talking Bollocks. So, I am your host, Howard H. Smith. I host the official Motorhead podcast, The Motorcast. I host this here podcast. I sing in the UK thrash band Acid Rain. Do stand-up, quizmaster, all sorts of bits and pieces. Anyway, can't be asked with talking about myself. So, you're here. Thank you. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Sign up to Patreon. If you haven't, it's patreon.com/Howard H. Smith. There's a link in the description of the podcast. So why don't you go there? Okay, that's it. That's everything. Now, what's been going on? Well, I was having a little bit of a think, and I wanted to talk to you about this. Basically, over the last few months, I would say probably since the turn of the year, bearing in mind that May isn't over yet. So we're less than halfway through the year, but I've been really not struggling, but there's been no music that has been really inspiring me. And I don't know if you get this, but sometimes you're searching around and there's nothing really pushing your buttons, and you go back to old stuff, classics, and you go, this is cool, but I'm looking for something new, but there's nothing around, and I don't know, just definitely a lack of enthusiasm for music started developing, as strange as that may seem, but it's true. And then just recently, a few albums have started the recovery process. So that's Deficiency, Warrenta, which is just fucking brilliant. If you like thrash, if you like prog, even if you like a bit of fucking gent now and again. I mean, it's honestly, Deficiency, Warrenta is truly inspiring me at the moment. A great album. I have to say, the album that did all of this, that started this though, was the new Rammstein album. Niet? I know, amazing. Heard the first, saw the first, I didn't like the last album. First single, saw the video, yeah, whatever. I was in Harrogate, where I'm from. I was actually in my childhood bedroom, in my childhood bed. It's not the same anymore, obviously, it's been decorated. I haven't been there for 25 years, but I'm just trying to set the scene, okay? So, I wake up and I'm just pissing about on my phone, and there's a new Rammstein video out. So I watch it, and it's for Angst, and I watched it, and by the end of the video, I was welling up. It totally moved me. And, it was early in the morning. The emotions are still all over the place. So, and I just thought, right, I've got to get the album then. And I then went into Harrogate, where I used to live as a kid, where I started the band, where I discovered thrash metal. I went into Harrogate, I went into a record shop, and I bought a CD of a new album the day after it came out. And I haven't done that, I reckon, for about 26 years. Not in Harrogate, anyway. Which gave that album even more of a a meaning to me. It was even more special. And it's really been kicking my ass. And I've bought a ticket to see Rammstein. I'm going on my own to Cardiff Principality Stadium. So that'll be nice. If you see me, give me a wave. I'm all in. That's basically what I'm saying. I'm all fucking in. And the new Primus EP, brilliant. I think it's the best thing they've done for years and years and years. Thank you very much, old head Stephen Ivy, for that one. Also, there's two albums that aren't out yet that I have, and I just want to say, for any Creator or Decapitated fans out there, it's all good. It is all good. So, there we go. I just wanted to kind of talk music with you, Just been going through a really, like I said, a really weird, patchy time. And to discover music that has completely reinvigorated my my outlook is awesome, and it's just really pleasing as well. And Dream Widow as well, that the Dave Grohl thing. That's great. Mammal have got a new song out called Crime Scene. Go check that out. It's all happening in the world of music and metal. And Kirk Hammett has even got a not shit solo album out. That's about as much as I can say for that. Solo albums, yes. One man's collective vision. Anyway, one man's artistic vision. That's, or jism. Anyway, it's enough about jism. Let's get straight on to the news. Less time for news, but there is still a few little bits and pieces. So here we go. First up, major news. And obviously this is about Trevor from the Black Dahlia murder, who unfortunately passed away. I haven't seen anybody talking about what happened, to be honest with you. So, I really can't say. But there was a huge outpouring online from bands and members. Obviously from fans, but lots and lots of bands who clearly, they toured with over the year, were absolutely gutted about it. And Taken Too Young, another frontman. It's the frontmen. Honestly, you're going to tune in. You're going to tune in to this one week, and it won't be me. It'll be someone else. And you know what? You won't like it because they won't say cunt at all. Now that, you see, that's essentially that is really that is the English way to say it. To make it really mean the most, is to say it nicely, but clip it. So, you, sir, you are a cunt. Just like that, yeah? Cunt. Try it along with me. Cunt. Now, louder and out loud, preferably somewhere really busy. God! Anyway, sorry, I've gone all stupid and all the rest of it, and that really wasn't appropriate. So, Trev, Black Dahlia murder, a great loss. I didn't know him, I hadn't met him, but clearly a loss, a big loss. Next up, well, new Soilwork album. Oh, is there a new Soilwork album? There bloody is, yes, and it's called Overgiven Hetten. I apologise for the frankly casually racist accent there, but let's do it again anyway. Overgiven Hetten. If you think that I'm offending you or your particular country of accent, please tell me what country you're in so I know which country's accent I'm doing, because I ain't got a fucking clue. Anyway, Soilwork are back. They're not just the band that Megadeth's new drummer used to play for. Great band. And in fact, one of the very, very early episodes of Talking Bollocks, go back through the archives, was Bjorn Strid, who was a great interview. Top man. And check the album out. Opening single's out. Incredible video. Urge you to check that out. And I might even stick a link in the description for you. There you go. Next up, Ian Hill. KK Downing will definitely attend Judas Priest's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction. Well, firstly, fucking absolutely, totally earned. Loved it. Great they got in. That's fantastic. And do you know what? I'm pleased for KK as well. I really am. Because maybe after he plays with them, he can shut them. Oh, of course, I was going to say shut up. Of course he won't. Of course he won't. He'll be like, right, let's get back together and do loads of stuff. Now, that doesn't usually work when you've had a bad falling out. And I'll use an example. And that is Live Earth. Remember Live Earth? Yes. For the Planet, the big gig. Well, Pink Floyd got the original lineup together. Well, not the original lineup, obviously. Sid Barrett's dead, but they got the remaining members together to play together. And during one of the songs, Roger Waters was, there's just a musical bit going on, and he was saying how amazing it was for them to be back together and playing and putting loads of stuff aside after all these years, how wonderful it was. And who knows, we may do this again someday. And you just looked across at, fucking hell, typical name has just disappeared out of my head. Right, hang on a sec. I could only think of Nick Mason, but of course it is David Gilmour. So you looked across at David Gilmour, and the look on his face said, frankly, as soon as we get to the end of this song and get off this stage, I never want to fucking see you ever again. And that's pretty much what happened. So maybe we'll get that with KK. Maybe it'll make him an even more of a fanboy. Going, I couldn't understand why they didn't ring me and ask me to come back in the band. Well, maybe they can tell you. Next up, I saw this and I just thought that is really cool, and it's really not cool, and I'm going to be really uncool. But fuck coolness. What's cool anyway? Veteran Japanese metalers Loudness will release their new studio album Sunburst on July the 29th outside Japan via Ear Music. Now, the reason I mention it is 40-year career. Yeah, I'm just unbelievable. I mean, let's just read this. Sunburst is the first official double studio album. In Loudness's impressive career, making it particularly special as it's considered a celebration of the band's rich musical history. Yeah, fucking double albums, man. Funnily enough, Soilwork, that I mentioned earlier, are one of the few bands to ever pull off a good double album. Anyway, the 16 songs represent the classic Loudness style, highly acclaimed by fans and critics alike. God, this is... Yeah, shut up. Record company written or what? Written mostly by original member and guitarist Akira Takasaki, which is possibly the best name for any guitarist, nay metal guitarist, nay musician, nay human. Akira Takasaki. I mean, if that doesn't sound made up, I presume it's his real name. By the way, he's also a fucking incredible guitarist. You honestly, seriously, you speak to anyone in thrash bands, in metal bands from back in the day, right? And you just say Akira Takasaki, and the guitarist in that band will turn around and go, fucking amazing, man. Fucking amazing dude. Shredder, incredible lead player, and a songwriter. Anywho, their album's coming out. Go get it. And if you don't like them, fucking go get it anyway. Next up, Soulfly's new album. It's all about the new albums here. You can tell them I have rediscovered my joy of music. I didn't lose it, but you know what I mean. Soulfly's new album closes with a 10-minute song called Spirit Animal. It's a riff fest, says Max. I'm always wary about dropping stuff like that before an album comes out, or there's the comes out before an album comes out. Fucking hell. Sort your life out, Howard. I mean, there's no excuse for getting that wrong, is there? Apart from just being a bit shit. Now, there's a huge press release that goes along with. Well, actually, it's not a press release, but there's a huge interview that goes along with Max, and there's all sorts on it. But all I'm going to say is that new album comes out, and it's got a 10-minute fucking riff fest on it. So, we're all getting that, definitely. Next up, Walking Dead star Norman Reedus. So he's the I don't even know what his right. Hang on, I've got to find out what his character is. I'm sure you know who I mean when I say him, because he's from Walking Dead and he's the bloke who's into metal, and he's mates with Scott Ian as well. But I can't. Yeah. Anyway, right, that guy from Walking Dead, he's got a Motorhead tattoo. Fucking hell, nice one, Howard. Following that, My Chemical Romance released first new song since 2014. The Foundations of Decay. What the fuck? Decay? That isn't even a fucking word. Right. I'm concentrating. I promise. So yeah, they've got a new single out. I haven't listened to it. Shall we all go and listen to My Chemical Romance? I've got nothing to offer you on that. Now, I've saved the best till last, because for me, this is the fucking best. The iconic mockumentary This Is Spinal Tap is getting a sequel. Rob Reiner will return to direct, and original stars and writers Christopher Guest, Michael McKean and Harry Shearer will reprise their roles as Nigel Tufnell, David St. Hubbins and Derek Smalls, respectively. The news of the Spinal Tap sequel comes after the Cannes Film Festival announced the original film will screen on the beach as part of the Cinema du Plage Sideboard on Wednesday, May the 18th. That's great, isn't it? We'll all pile down there, shall we? Well, you're not going to... It'll be after May the 18th when you've heard this, but if it was before, I would suggest we'll fucking pile down Cannes, yeah? Fucking Cannes in France, yeah? Fucking pile down Cannes in France, get there on a Wednesday, get down the Cinema du La Plage, yeah? And fucking have it. Because it's fucking Spinal fucking tapping it, you cunt. Right, okay, that's enough of that, isn't it? As my inner Geordie is coming out. Led Zepp. There's a band that I never really liked that are massive. And by the way, you may know I do a few quizzes here and there. Fun fact. Biggest selling band in the world. The Beatles. Second biggest selling band in the world throughout history. Led Zeppelin. Now, anyone claiming newer bands or, you heard this band... What you have to remember is, back in the day, they just sold records. You couldn't get the music any other way. They've also been around for, since the dawn of time, 40, 50 years. So, over that time, you sell a shit ton of records. More than the fucking Backstreet Boys, or Take That, or some dumb fuck pile of shit, pop, creative fucking wank. Not even music, just a fucking melody and a beat to get fucking suckers buying shit. Anyway, bit of a tangent. Right, we're now coming up. It is the interview time, and it's the interview with Steve Ramsey of Satan. Now, we'll get to talking about the band name, but and thank you very much, Satan, for popping in there. That's okay. So, don't do it again. I won't. Don't. Anyway, Steve, great interview, really fun. We obviously Mark, our Acid Rain's drummer, is from the same area. They know each other. That comes up, and we just have a right old chat about music and all sorts. About Skyclad, because of course Steve was a guitarist in Skyclad for years. He formed Skyclad with Martin Walkier, so there's clearly a lot to get through and a lot to ask. And one faithful patron, Paul Hutchings, asked some very insightful, nay, brilliant questions. And I threw those on as well. Now, if you want to ask questions of people you've always wanted to ask questions of, then sign up to patreon.com/Howard H. Smith. But what you're going to hear now is Steve and I chopped about 2 or 3 minutes off the front of this interview because it's the two of us trying to get everything working. But you will get just the end of Steve and I figuring everything out.
Yeah, no, I've got it sorted.
You got me?
Yeah, brilliant.
Right, I to be honest with you, mate, honestly, it's like... It's like, a squirrel with a tennis ball, isn't it? Two old blokes try and figure out how to speak to each other. Oh dear.
Oh, you have this on my laptop. On my laptop, the audio is just really...
Oh, say that again.
On my laptop, the audio is totally gone on Skype, and I just can't find out how to get it back on.
Oh no!
Everything else we're on Skype, no audio at all.
Oh, that's ridiculous. So, well, how come you can hear me then?
It's my phone.
Ah, right. Okay, so you've had to give up on the laptop altogether.
Yeah, I just can't work it out. I've used it for years to do Skype on, and now I can't. The audio went, and now I can't get it to go back on.
Right, yeah. If you've been using it for years and you haven't changed your computer, it may well be that that it's not supported anymore.
Just had enough, yeah.
Yeah. Typical. Anyway, how are you? I mean, it's kind of weird because I was sure that we'd met or we knew each other, and I think our paths have crossed, but it seems kind of odd that we're only getting a chance to sort of chat now.
Yeah, maybe we have. I mean, there's a long time gone by.
True. But I mean, you guys kind of really precede straight out. Do you consider yourself a thrash band?
No, definitely not thrash. No.
Right. Okay. Because I, as a little thrasher, I had the first album, which I absolutely loved, and that really sort of helped form my kind of early listening. I was only down the road in Yorkshire, and it was amazing to think there was people like, other than Venom, making great noise coming out of the northeast. But it was kind of weird because it was a time where, you were saying Nawabum and thrash took off, and Nawabum kind of got a little bit left behind. You never seem to have got the credit that you deserve. That's my feeling.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
I think we weren't really Nawabum either.
Right.
I think we were just like I think we helped maybe start thrash, create a lot of thrash, but we didn't go that way, and we sort of went a little bit that way on one of the prior albums. But I wouldn't say any of the Satan music was thrash.
Yeah. So is it kind of like a sort of? Did you kind of? Is it? Are you victims of falling between the two? Then not new album, not thrash. So kind of, what are you?
Yeah, I mean, someone described us as melodic speed metal. And I think that's nearer,
Yeah, no,
it's definitely speed metal. I would call it speed metal.
I'd agree with that. You're certainly not power metal. There's not enough songs about battles in ancient times and skinning of bears and stuff.
Yeah.
So no, definitely not. And you've I mean. You put loads. You do like a lineup change. Sorry, not a lineup change. You do like a name change back in the day, didn't you?
Yeah, that was a nightmare. Yeah, we sort of regret calling ourselves Satan because we thought that was holding us back, especially when all black metal and death metal became popular.
Yeah,
we weren't anything to do with that, but we were instantly lumped in with it, which that didn't help. So that meant we were not new wave of British heavy metal, not thrash, not death metal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you could.
The name didn't help us try and fit in either. So
yeah, you could fill a book with the amount of genres you're not in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think our influences are so diverse from the 70s that we were doing our own thing, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think progressive metal. Maybe it's progressive metal.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe by the end of this interview, we'll actually have like
work it out.
Yeah, we'll have probably invented a completely new genre, and there's only one band in it, and it's you lot. every chance, man. Every chance. So let's leap through it. Let's leap forward to why we're talking. The new album, you signed it's your second with Metal Blade, isn't it?
Yeah. First from Magic.
And great label to I've had many a chat with Brian, and unfortunately they've never resulted in him saying, "Hey, why don't we sign you?" But they're a great label, and it seems to me that whenever anyone signs to Metal Blade, they pretty much stay on Metal Blade.
Yeah, they like it. Yeah, you get Treadwell, so he's been at it long enough to know how to look after the band. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, as well, is he's a big music fan himself, and I just think that he's dealt with bands over the years for so long now. Like you said, he just knows how to treat people.
Yeah,
and
definitely,
and get the right stuff in as well, because everybody that you deal with is sound.
Yeah, Yeah, of course, and they've got offices in Europe and the UK and the States, and it's much easier to deal with people where they're located in the area, they're dealing with them, and it's easy.
Yeah. Well, everything makes a difference when it comes to the label, doesn't it? Everything makes a difference.
Yeah. The strange thing is as well that Courtney Act was actually released on Metal Blade in the States the first time round.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And let me guess. Let me guess they only released it because they thought it was a thrash album.
There's a statement from Brian somewhere saying that the Satan album was one of his best sellers at the time.
Oh wow, that's awesome! I hope you saw some money at the time as well.
No, definitely not. We were told by Roadrunner it wasn't doing any business.
Ah, right, okay, yeah. Someone had a nice holiday.
Yeah, the usual.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, you're up to date. You've got a new album out, and I'm really interested to because you've nailed that old school sound. I mean, you've not gone down the route of Pro Tools and click tracks and plugins and everything. So give me an idea as to how you managed. I mean, did you literally just plug in the amps and record this like you would have done in the old days?
Basically, the whole album this time as well was even mixed in a demo studio. It's like a demo studio. So there isn't the equipment there to do that,
Yeah, sure.
So it basically was, plug in, play, record. It mixed itself because it's the same sounds that we recorded. And then mixing was just basically the levels and a couple of effects, and that's it.
Yeah.
Very much back to basics, like we made the first album,
Yeah. And the thing is, when you know what you're looking for, and you know what your sound is, and like you said, mixing really should just be levels, shouldn't it?
Should. I mean, you shouldn't have to change the sound of anything, and it should sound like it when you record it. I don't understand all this triggers and all that, and the drums and different snares and trying out. Everyone uses metallic snare drum and all this stuff. It's like crazy stuff.
Yeah, and I know what you mean. I mean, when we did our album back in 2019, we kind of did a little bit of that, but we also did a little bit of what you do. So all the drums that you hear on the album are the drums Mark played. In fact, of course, you know Mark, don't you?
Yeah. Of course we do.
Yeah, God, it's a small world, isn't it?
He just lives around the corner.
Oh, really? Give him a shout. Give him a shout and tell him to give me a bell, will you?
I will do one.
Yeah, I mean, so on that album, it's every single drum hit is that kit. But we kind of we tweaked it slightly, and then we did use Pro Tools, etc. But I see where you're coming from, because as soon as I put it on, I was like, it took me straight back to being that sort of 14-year-old kid listening to Satan for the first time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean the last three albums, we sent them over to Dario Mollo's studio in Italy, and he mixed them and he put a little bit of treatment on them, and made them sound a little bit more modern. But this time we just went straight off the tape,
Right. Okay. You've just gone for full on. So did you? Who'd you get to master it?
I've got no idea.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been special.
Well, yeah, like you said, I mean, mastering again, depending on the production and what you're going for. It really. I mean, Steve Harris doesn't master albums, does he? There's a few Maiden ones where it's like, nah, we're not going to master it.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
I remember one Skylar album we did. We went to New York and had it mastered by Howie Wayne.
Bloody hell!
It still sounded like
That's a bit of an extreme, isn't it? Oh yeah, we're not doing anything with it. Oh yeah, and then all of a sudden it's mastered by fucking Howie B. That's insane.
Yeah, a bit wacky.
So
you sort of learn down the line that they're not the things that make the album good, you know.
Yeah. And over the years, you must have had, I don't know, because I mean, you know, you came back and you did that one-off festival show. And then there's nothing. I mean, I'm presuming during that period, you were getting offers and saying no, not interested. And then when 2011 comes round and you bring the band back together full time, and you've been back together for over a decade now. So what happened in those intervening years? Were you?
Right.
I mean, you had
you
had Skyclad, obviously.
We did Whacking in I think it was 2004.
Yeah.
And when we did Whacking, Sean, our drummer, had a car accident and he couldn't play. So we had Phil Brewis, who was playing with Blitzkrieg at the time. He filled in for Sean, and it was great. You know, he's a great drummer. We know him well, and all the show went well. But we sort of drew a line up there, right? We've done that, been there, done that now, you know.
Yeah.
It was kind of like that without Sean.
Yeah.
And then you're right, we got hassled for the next 5 years, for 6 years, whatever it was, until Sean wrapped up and said, I've been retraining my left foot to play the bass drum, and I think I can play the stuff again. So now he plays the bass drum with his opposite foot. And we had a rehearsal and went, great, let's do that one-off show that he keeps hassling about in Germany. And we went to do the show, and that was that. And we got the bug back. So,
oh man, that's incredible. The fact that it came about so sort of naturally. The fact it was just like you know,
and without Sean, it wasn't going to happen. You know, it was going to be the full lineup off Court the Act or nothing. You know,
that's brave. All these years later.
Yeah, I don't know how we're still doing it, to be honest, but we are.
Yeah. Well, and I'm glad you are, and a lot of people are glad you are, because you know you are one of the original names that was around, you know, right at the beginning of this. And your paths must have crossed. I mean, who did you gig with? Because it's like, you know, can you gig with New Album? Can you gig with Thrash? You know, you must have been kind of like diving in and out of all sorts of bills. Yeah,
we did some funny shows. The only tour we did in Europe was with Running Wild at one point, but that was with Mick singing. When Brian was the vocalist, we only really played Holland, Belgium, and the UK.
Right. Yes.
And the reason that we changed everything because the two magazines, Kerrang! And Oddshot magazine in Holland, the two big magazines, basically slagged off Contact. We were like young kids, you know, so
right.
And thought, well, we're doing something wrong, we best change, and it was the wrong idea.
Oh man, I tell you, people listening to this who have come to the world after the traditional rock press has died will be amazed at the power they had.
Yeah, they had. I mean, that was your only outlet, so nobody heard your music unless they put it in there, you know. So they had a lot of power and control over what you did, and especially if you're young and you're impressionable, you know. So that sort of gutted us that we put all that effort into that album, and people didn't like it. Yeah. But when you're thinking about it, it's actually two people that didn't like it.
I know. Look, I say this all the time because I mean, I got slated in Kerrang! On both our first two albums, and the thing is that now, if you put those albums out, and journalists were like, "Oh, you know, this is crap," they'd just get battered on social media by people telling them they didn't know what they were talking about.
Exactly. It's ridiculous. Yeah. So now it's fair.
Yes.
But, in those days, it was very much suck up to the lip.
Yeah. Well, that's all fair, but we're all fucking skint as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It really is.
It is, isn't it? Because it's like there used to be a lot of money in the business, but like you say, you know, the power of the press and everything, your career's out of your hands. Whereas now the career is in.
Kind of a double-edged sword for us, because with me and Graham, who played Satan and Skylad, with Skylad it sort of ruined our careers because we stopped selling records, and that's what we were living off. and then Satan was reborn because of the internet. So it was like, wow, it's sort of taken something away and then given us something else. It's great.
Yeah, that's insane. Yeah,
Yeah.
very very much so. So that's what Kibosh Skyclad in the end, was it?
Yeah, it was like you're touring, and then you realise when you get older you don't want to tour all the time, and that you're making your money off records, and when you're not making any money, then you've got to go and make a living somewhere else, and it creeped in and starts pulling things apart a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's put it this way: ultimately, touring is hard enough without finances being affected.
Yeah. I mean, you remember the old days was you go on tour, use money on tour, but you sell a lot of records to make the money back.
Yeah.
And now it's like you start off making no money, but you make money on tour now. It's like
yeah. It's bizarre, isn't it? I mean, the only reason we went on tour was to get people to buy records.
To promote the record, so we could make some money.
Yeah,
it was best.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the whole business change where ticket prices have gone through the roof, and people are paying it to see live music because they've got the spare cash because they don't have to buy records anymore.
Well, we're all just touring. Our latest fashion show, aren't we? I mean, ultimately, we're all T-shirt sellers. We turn up. Yeah, it's like we've put a new album out, so we can bring our new collection to your town. Please do buy some of these T-shirts while we play this music in the background.
Yeah, it's good. Wacky.
Yeah, it is. It's completely mad, and but scenes change. There's definitely more bands around now, and I think, like you say, things are kind of fairer to a certain extent. Yeah. And there's also a lot more fan engagement. I mean, if you think about it now, most rock and metal websites are run by fans, basically. Very few of them are actually part of any kind of establishment.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, you've got you've got the major magazines, and outside of them, most websites. This podcast, for instance. I mean, ultimately, I'm a fan. I might have been doing this 7-8 years, but I started doing this because I love music and I wanted to speak to as many different musicians as possible. And that's what you get. That's what you get happening all over the world. And speaking of which, you've done. Speaking of all over the world, you've done your fair bit of South America, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean that was a crazy thing. I remember for years and years, right through my whole career, getting offered a gig in South America. Never come to fruition.
You and me both. You and me both. Still to this day.
It's just crazy. And we had an offer for a show in Chile, in Santiago. And I did the usual, because at the time I was just running the band. We've got a manager now, but that's just the last couple of years. And I was running the show. So I said, oh, yeah, of course, yeah, we'll do it. Yeah. What do you need? I said, oh, we'll need $2,000 up front to buy the flights. Ha, 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 ha. And a year before the show, he said, money.
Wow.
It was actually a year before the show. I was like, wow. We are actually going to go to South America now because we've got the ticket. We can fly there now. We can fly back. If the show's not on, we can just come back.
That's insane. I mean, I remember having a conversation with our European agent about 3 or 4 years ago, and I was talking to him about South America, and he just said, "Howard, do you know what the problem is with South America?" And I was like, "No," and he goes, "Everybody lies." Yeah,
normally it's a nightmare, but we got in with this guy. He was like a fan. He was running his own little label. And but he had some clout behind him with his. He actually had this most bizarre job where he's one of the only a handful of people in the world that can run a computer mining company, and they employ him to go around the world and sort out computers that run mines.
Right. Fucking hell.
He was like a genius, with a metal fan, and he just put some of his own money into doing it, and it was a massive success. He started off saying he had to sell 500 tickets to get to break even, so he put it in a hall that held 500 people, and had to move the show to a place that held a couple of thousand.
Wow, that's awesome.
Well, yeah, that's just mad stuff.
But it's do you know what? But it's good to hear when people, when metalers, made a little bit of money, and
he did all right, and then he's continued to do stuff. We did a couple of tours with him and stuff. It was great.
Now you see, now you're talking my language. I mean, we've been approached. Oh God, I've probably double figures now, and every time you get an email saying, "Oh, and we've worked with all these bands." And then, our agent comes back about 3 weeks later and goes, yeah, all those bands they've worked with? Yeah, none of them have heard of them.
Yeah. There's so many of them. It's just crazy.
Yeah. But it does my head in that they send you this email saying, oh, we've done tours with all these bands, and they don't think you're going to check.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Maybe they got away with that in the early days. But not now.
Yeah.
We might meet a couple of people there that do the business well, in Brazil, and I think we're off over there again in December for a couple of shows in Brazil.
Oh, that must be a hell of a place to play.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's great playing anywhere, but the thing about Satan coming back like this is we've got to play all the places that we thought we weren't going to do. We never thought we were going to go to Japan. That sort of dreams you have. You're a kid in South America, in North America, and you just dream about it. Think, oh, well, never mind. We got to do some shows, And then, at this age, you're doing them all. It's just really strange.
I know exactly what you mean. We played...
never give up. Never give up on your dream. Never.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we played main stage Bloodstock last year. Played the main stage on a festival. And that's always been a goal of mine.
Yeah, of course.
And to do it when it's your first gig out of lockdown, bloody hell.
Yeah, that must have been fun.
Oh, mate, it was almost too much, I can tell you that.
Brilliant.
But like you say, never give up. There's a great quote, and I must find out who said it. I think it was some dude in the Melvins, but he was basically, he just always, his kind of advice to all bands is never break up the band. And he's like, no matter how bad things get, never break up the band. Because things can be absolutely terrible, and now there's no band. And he's like, that's never the answer.
Yeah, that's the worst.
Yeah,
the worst is no band.
Absolutely. But I'm so pleased to hear that as well. The fact that since you've come back, you're kind of... Do you feel like you're getting your just deserves? You're getting rewarded for hanging in there all those years?
We really do. I mean, we had all those years where we were thinking, like maybe what would have happened if we just stuck with the name and carried on. We probably would have been successful, like a lot more successful than we were. And to have the second chance to set by the cherry to do that, just crazy, and that's what we've had. So.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, you can look back and the frustrations of your early career and all the rest of it, and decisions that are made, sometimes not even by anyone in the band. But if you keep going long enough, it comes full circle.
Yeah.
And presumably,
yeah, wiser when you get older.
Yeah. I'm enjoying it way more now.
Yeah, definitely.
I think when you put, when you're younger, and you obviously your priorities are different, and you think you know everything and all the rest of it. But there's always tensions around.
Yeah, definitely. And you're trying to get somewhere. You're all trying to make it.
Yes.
When you're already trying to make it, you're just having fun. And if it's good and you get paid a few quid, excellent.
Yeah.
You're not trying to make it anymore.
No, you're right though, because I'd always it's like it was. I mean, I admit it now, and it was a really bad habit, but I pretty much saw every band as just competition.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I can imagine.
And it's like every other thrash band is basically trying to steal your lunch. And I look back. Do you know what I mean? I look back on it now, and I was like,
yeah,
you fucking idiot.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It was a little bit like that in the late 80s. So it was felt a little bit like that.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's always like rivalries. Healthy rivalry, that's fine. But I mean, I was just like, I think I'd taken leave of my senses really, because it's like, if somebody likes that band, they might not like our band, they might not buy our record, and it's like that makes no sense whatsoever.
No, because you knew when you were a kid, you were just buying all.
Yeah, exactly. There I am with a record collection that's like, about 300-400 albums deep. And I think, oh yeah, but if they like them, then if they buy that record, they won't. Yeah, just ridiculous. But when when you're a kid, you're a kid.
Yeah,
there's no getting around it. There's no getting around it. But so when you split originally, was everybody? Did you have that musical differences rubbish going on or anything like that?
Was in a way, we wanted to change direction a bit, and Brian wanted to stick with what we were doing, and that's why we parted company with Brian. We said we think we're doing something wrong, and he said no, it's great. So he still believed in it. It's really weird, because he joined the band after we'd formed the band, and he was the one who wanted to keep it together. And in hindsight, we wish we'd listened to him.
Well,
and of course, he was the wiser, so there you go.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's like, I don't know, especially when it's only one person as well. I mean, we all know what a band's like. It's about the number of votes.
Yeah, that's what it's that. Yeah,
and you can't carry a band on when you got 4 people on one page and somebody else on a different one.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just sad, but that's the way it's got to go.
It was. We never fell out or anything. We never had a single bad word to get with each other,
Yeah.
And that's why it was so easy to get back together, because there was no animosity or anything. It was just, we're going to do this, and he was like, good luck, and that was it.
Didn't Brian turn round when you all got back together? Didn't he turn round and go, oh, you finally come round to my way of fucking thinking then?
Well, he didn't say it, but you can see it on his face.
Yeah, but ultimately, he's in the same boat as the rest of you as well. I mean, nothing, that's, you all went your separate ways anyway.
Yeah, I mean, he continued something that he believed in and put Blitzkrieg back together, and did that. So, we did what everyone does their own thing. You wouldn't change what you did. It molds the rest of your life, but...
I can definitely...
If it took us back there, we'd probably stick together.
Well, I can definitely imagine that there is people listening to this thinking, well, thank fuck you did split up, because if you hadn't, there'd have been no Skyclad.
Well, exactly. So, yeah, it's one of those. So
how did all that come about? I mean, I know Martin, I don't know if he still lives in Newcastle, but he lived in Newcastle when I lived in Newcastle. He was
up here for a while.
Yeah.
He had a child.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
So he was up here for a bit, and he went back down to Nottingham. But we didn't meet him up here. So after we'd met him, we met him in London. Funnily enough, because Satan were living in London, and Sabbath needed somewhere to stay when they were recording one of their albums. I think it was the first album.
Yeah, might have been the second one actually.
Yeah, it was one of them anyway. What first time, and they liked the Pariah album. Andy Sneap liked the production of the Pariah album, so he wanted to use Roy Rowland, who did that album, and they came down to record, and Roy said, "Would you mind putting the guys up? Because the budget's not going to be big." And we put the guys up while they were down recording and got another one. And then I say might have been the second album, because I tour managed them for the second UK tour.
Ah, right.
Yeah, and so we really got to know each other then as well. When he split up, and we had moved back to Newcastle, and when they had split up, I just sort of got together Martin in a pub one day, and he said, "Do you want to try putting some stuff together?" And he gave me a lyric, and I wrote one of the songs on the first album from the lyric. Just put the music to it, and went on from there.
And that was it. You just met in a pub, and do you want to do this? Yeah, all right then. You start jamming, and a band is born.
Yeah, it's weird because I was working on a building site at the time, and I wasn't at home, and I'd come home for the weekend, and he came round on Saturday morning with the lyrics, and it was the FA Cup final afternoon, and I wanted to watch the cup final, so I actually finished the song in about an hour and a half, and then sent it to him.
Because you wanted to get it finished before the final started.
Yeah, it was one of those. It was so funny. Like, I wish I could do that every time.
Yeah, exactly. But it's funny when you look back on things, because the thing is, at the time, you've no idea what it's going to lead to. At the time, it's just like, oh fucking hell, I got to get this thing out of the way, and the cup final's on, and
yeah. Oh, I said I would do something on this. I'll do something now, but before the matches.
Yeah, it's one of them. Yeah, it's one of those. It's, oh, why did I fucking say yes to this guy? Do you know what I mean? I've got stuff to do.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is.
And then we demoed it. You had to listen to it and you liked it. We demoed it, and after we demoed it, we went, "Oh, I think we're onto something now. We'll do more songs."
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I remember when Skyclad came out, and I was singer leaves band and forms other band. I was like, really interested to see how it, to see what it was all about. And then when the fact that it was kind of all based around the Northeast, because I was living in Newcastle from I think 92 to 94.
Ah, right, yeah, I would have been around the same time, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think I was in a band called Strange Thing, and which was a Newcastle band, and we'd record demos in Eric and Tony's studio.
Ah, yeah.
Bear Dawn. Was it Bear Dawn? No. That was their management group.
Yeah. We must have bumped into each other. We were hanging around there.
Well, this is what I'm thinking. I mean, it's like, and also if you tour managed Sabbath as well, I'll have definitely been along to a couple of those shows. So we must have bumped into each other at some point. I just can't think where.
You do so much in your career. I always remember faces, but names are Todd.
Yeah.
You see someone, I definitely know them.
Yes, yeah. I know. Oh, I'm terrible with names. I can't remember names. But did you ever have any dealings with Eric?
Yeah, he managed Skylad for the first 5 years.
Of course. Well, for listeners, we're talking about Eric Cook, who I knew very well, and of course you knew very well, who's no longer with us, unfortunately. But I always had like completely fair dealings with him. Yeah,
we did. Yeah, he was great for the band. He took us from nothing, and helped us sort the deal out with noise, and we went from playing clubs, obviously, to doing big tours by the mid '90s.
Yeah, and that's all
selling and stuff. Pretty good move.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, like I said, I'd all sorts of dealings with him over the years, and he was always really, really sound.
Yeah.
But so when you got a chance to all those big tours, who'd you go out with?
We managed to. We did a few tours in Germany. We did first big one we did. Well, it was the biggest thing we ever did. We supported Manowar.
Wow!
So we did 25 shows in the all in like arenas. I think the smallest one was 5,000.
Wow, what was it like supporting the most metal band ever, you bunch of false metalers?
It was a learning experience, yeah. Yeah. We were getting changed on the bus, and the groupies had their own dressing room.
I love the fact that I love the fact that you give it the political answer. You know, it's like, yes, there was some interesting experiences.
Yeah, it was good fun.
I know. I can only imagine. Yeah. So what's the northeast scene like at the moment?
I don't really know what's going on. You know,
Fair point.
I'm so bad now that I've missed out on stuff that I really like. While during COVID, like going on your daily walks and stuff, you know, like I've got Amazon Music, whatever it is, and you know how it puts a logarithm in and then plays music that it thinks you like based on what you listen to.
Yeah. And
this track came on, walking along with my headphones in, and a track came on by Haken.
Oh,
yeah.
Awesome.
Never heard them, you know.
Yeah.
In the old days, I would have known exactly who they were, but I'd never heard them before. And the Cockroach King came on, and I was like, what the hell is this? It's great.
Yeah.
And of course, I come home, I have a look on the internet, and I find out they've got 5 albums out, and I hadn't even heard the band. So I'm a bit out of touch compared to what I used to be like when I was younger.
But funnily enough, one of those albums that you found in COVID is the same album I found, which is a concept album called Virus, about a virus.
Yeah, Virus about a virus, yeah.
Fucking insane, man. That's how I...
They wrote it before it happened. It was crazy.
I know.
And then they brought the album out while it was going on. It was really good.
It absolutely. And I had tickets. I had tickets booked to see them in February, but the dates got pulled. But I've still got the tickets, wow. And that's how much I like them. I bought tickets.
Wow, I would love to go and see them.
Yeah.
So I'll keep an eye out. You know.
Keep an eye out.
Every now and then something like pops out, and that Cockroach couldn't stop playing it. It was so great.
Well, the
influences that they have from all the old prog rock and then the new prog rock, and so fantastic.
Well, Virus, the most recent album, and the album it links to, the previous album, they were playing both those in their entirety.
Wow.
Yeah, I know exactly. So that's why I was all over it. But I'm definitely going to get to see them. But because I worked backwards. You got into the Cockroach King, whereas I heard the new album first and then went backwards. But it was so weird that I discovered this band. Yeah. You know, it's written an album called Virus, and I'm discovering it in lockdown. I was like, it really properly did my head in.
Yeah, yeah. That's one of the things I really enjoyed about the lockdown and that, because I used to listen to music so much, and then your life takes over and work and everything else and family and everything. And now it's like a guilty pleasure now to be able to sit down and listen to music for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
And I just found that I was doing a lot of that, and it was really great because I remembered when I had the time to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we're getting to that stage now, aren't we, where it's okay to say what I liked about lockdown, because if you'd said that like 6 months ago, you know, people would get you sectioned.
There was plenty I didn't like about it as well.
Yeah.
And then you went insane at one point because we weren't gigging at all. But
we'd put our first album out for 29 years, and 2020 was the year of the fucking world tour. Yeah. I know, it's just like, well, you know, shit happens, doesn't it? Shit happens.
We had, with Satan, we finished Cruel Magic, and we toured a little bit of it the year before, but the American tour was booked for that April, and we paid $3,000 for the visas, for the work permits to go.
Yeah.
And on Wednesday, we went down for the fight to pick up the visas, and you have to do it at the embassy in London. And we came back, and the next day Boris announced lockdown.
Oh man!
We just paid $3,000 for some visas. to go to the States, and that was just throw it. We're going to get that back, you know. It was a nightmare.
Yeah. Do you know what happened to everybody? I spoke to Andres Kisser from Sepultura, and they had virtually the identical same experience. They were literally, it was like 2 days, and they were due to leave and start the tour. You know, all rehearsals done, everything's packed, visas, the lot, and then it just all disappeared.
It's just shocking.
It's a it hit us all, man. Hit us all. Well, look, I've got some listener questions here. If you've got a couple of minutes, these are both from subscriber to the show and Patreon, Paul Hutchings. Really good questions here. So his first question is, really enjoyed the latest album, Earth Infernal. I think it's one of your best. The Nawabam movement is viewed with a lot of nostalgia now. As a band that was part of it, how much were you actually aware of it at the time, and did it influence any of your decisions in Satan?
Well, yeah, of course, yeah. We were a big part of it. All the bands up in the northeast, like Raven and Tyson Dog and other bands, they were our friends, you know. Obviously, I remember going to Blitzkrieg and Brad before he joined Satan, and that's all. It was a massive community in Newcastle, and just it used to be any band that turned up, they were playing the City Hall. We would queue overnight for tickets, and we'd get to know people in the queues and stuff. It was a really great time. And obviously that completely influenced us to be in a band to start with, and to do what we did. And, it was a very important time for us.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. And following, he says, you've had a very stable lineup since reforming in 2011. Is that a sign of maturity and the lack of those early tensions?
It's kind of unfinished business, you know. We sort of knew as soon as we'd split up the wrong thing, and then we did an album as Blind Fury, and then we went back to being Satan again, only to have a lot of Christians turn up at the shows in Germany. And then we got a little bit sick of that, and, you know, Christians trying to stop people coming to see the band Satan and all this. And so we changed our name again to Briar, and that's why the name changes happened.
Right.
But, you know, we knew after the Blind Fury album that this is not where we should go. We should go back to what we were doing. So really getting the original lineup back together in 2011, it was just total unfinished business. We don't seem to stop coming up with new ideas or anything either. So I can't see it stopping until one of us croaks it or something.
That is exactly when to quit. That is exactly when to break the band up. When, you know, when one of you can't do it anymore. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, I mean, as long as you're doing it until you can't, great, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like someone said, "Oh, you know, when you know, do you have an idea of when, you know, you want to quit?" And I was like, you get retired. Yeah, you get retired. You don't retire, you get retired.
Yeah, that's what love is.
Absolutely. Look, Steve, I can't thank you enough for your time. Really, really appreciate it, mate. And look, good luck in South America. I hope it all goes smoothly. Enjoy the road, and I'll see you out on the road somewhere.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we'll have a beer.
Nice one. All right, mate.
Cheers, man.
Take care, dude.
See you later, man.
Cheers. Bye-bye. And there you have our interview. Interview, chat. We just chatted and chatted. As you heard, because I don't need to tell you that because you were listening. You literally just heard it, didn't you? Oh. Just another point that I want to make about fucking podcasts. When people do their podcast interview with somebody, and then they talk about it afterwards and break down and recap it and go, oh, but what about this? And what? It's like, let people fucking listen to it and make their own minds up. Don't tell them how much they enjoyed it. Don't point things out and, you know, what they mean with your super incredible fucking insight when you don't actually have any. I'm talking about one podcast in particular here. And yeah, just bollocks, isn't it? Also, in podcasts gone by, I did mention that the Kermode and Mayo film podcast was finishing. Of course, I was wrong. It has gone off the BBC and is now called The Take. Funnily enough, Peter Crouch has left the BBC and his podcasters independent as well now. So, fuck you, BBC! All those people who decided to go away and, make some actual money out of their podcast instead of the peanuts that the BBC give them. And fair play to that. That's what I say. So, this is the end of the podcast. This is the waffly kind of ending bitty here. And this is dropping in a little bit late. I've been really, really busy with comedy this month and last month. The gigs are rolling in and it really has... Yeah, it's just got really busy. But sorry about that. I will pay more attention. You will have fabulous interviews coming up. There's going to be loads of people that you want to listen to. Please do share the podcast. Yada yada. I mean, just look. If you're a listener of podcasts, you know all that shit they say on all the other podcasts about share it, blah blah, subscribe. That. I mean, they're not bullshitting you. We're all in the same boat. You guys are my marketing team. Yeah, it would be really nice to get the figures up. If there's anyone that you know who doesn't listen who you think should be listening, then get them listening. Now, if you want to get somebody to listen to the podcast who's never listened to it before, why don't you say, have a listen to the current episode, this one, right? And go in and listen from 1 hour and 7 minutes. It's quite close to the end, but go in and listen from there. Hello, you twat! Why haven't you fucking been listening? Hey? Why is it taking you this long to come and have a listen to my podcast? Right? There's loads of people who've been listening since the very beginning. What time do you call this? Late is what it's called. People like you fucking hold everything up. You're late to the party. You're late dropping the kids off. You're late going to the doctors. You know, you're late here. You're late. But you're here. I suppose I should be grateful, but I'm fucking not until you get more people here. Okay? Mr. New Guy or Mrs. New Woman, please go out and get me some more subscribers. You only just got here. In fact, you've come in at 1 minute 7. You've not even listened to this episode. You don't even know if this podcast is any good. So, about time you found out. Get back to the fucking beginning and have a listen. So, there you go. We've got a nice little section starting at 1 minute 7 that you can tell people to go and listen to, and I'll just have a go at them. That's not really going to work. That's not really going to work, is it? But fuck it, eh? Why not? Let's have a laugh. Because that's what life is all about. Having a laugh. Speaking of which, have lots of laughs, and I'll see you next time on Talking Bollocks. Oh, I love doing this podcast.
Do you need a final word from me?
No, I don't. I said don't fucking butt in again.
I didn't.
I know. I'm just saying.
I didn't butt in, though.
You did then, didn't you, you fucking dick? Fucking Satan.